this is Vietnam. Because it's search and destroy mission, and searching is obviously very important. This is how searching works. I've got a nice little slab that Peter Pig sells. But you can get the bits of paper off the Peter Pig website free of charge and place things. Now, potential things they might find are this. There's a number one. Number one might be something like a little printing press. Might be a valuable personality, a local commander. Or it could be something else, something very important. Doesn't mean just found a $10 note. Something very important. This isn't a one-to-one skirmish. I'm going to place that on the loop. Next thing, there's a high value. Now, high value, once again, isn't just a single AK-47. It might be 15 or so, something actually worth finding. This isn't Dungeons and Dragons. It's got to be something worth finding. Or it might be 3 RPGs along with a lot of explosives, something like that. There's 3 high value. Sorry, 2 high value. There we go. Next thing we got is low value. Now, low values might be rice, not just a bag of rice, but 30 sacks of rice. Some special wood, it might be some other equipment, might be bags of grenades, so not highly valued stuff, but of worth something or other. Now, usually, if it was things like rice, which is obviously not for the local peasantry, but as a cash stores for the VC, you might destroy it by burning or having a wee on it or something like that. You can't carry it with you, it's far too much. I'm going to place those down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, last of all, there are ambushes or heavy duty booby traps. 1, 2, 3. And there are some empty spaces. When the White Star do a successful search, they get to have a little look around on here. And it works like this. The White Star player, he searched successfully. He places it on the thing he'd really like. I'm going to go for a low value. And the reason is because low value, I could find it, destroy it and move on quickly without being hampered. If I'm carrying a lot of crates of AKs around, it's hard work. Now, once again, the deviation system comes into play. The VC get a +1. There's the problem. Right, the White Star player, so he said he wants this low value. He rolls a dice. I think it might be more clearly placed there. And he scores a 6. Marvellous. The VC player rolls a dice, scores a 1. It always adds 1 to 2. The White Star's won by 4 points. He could deviate by 4, but a bit stupid though, because he's got what he wanted. So, picks that cash up and puts it with his troops and then maybe destroys it, whatever. There's less things to find now. Let's replay that. Now, just so it works properly, I'm not wasting your time. Let us say, for example, the White Star, he rolls his dice and scores a 3. The VC player rolls a 5, but adds 1 on because he always gets +1 deviation. You can see the difference is 3. 3 and 6, difference of 3. The VC player could just say, well, no, I'll leave it alone. Or you can deviate by exactly 3. Not 1, 2, 3, but exactly 3. So it could go 1, 2, 3, and they find nothing. Or 1, 2, 3, another low value. I think the VC player deviate to there. There we go. The US players found nothing. Still get points for searching the village, but they've not found anything. This is why the ambushes are there. Sometimes the VC player can deviate the White Star player onto an ambush. Now that means the initial layout of this loop, as we call it, is very important. So I might be the number 1. I might put a couple of ambushes next to it. I might put a lot of space next to it as well. Maybe put high value down here with an ambush. I don't need to put ambushes both sides because if I win the deviation, I can choose which direction it goes. So let us say the White Star player says, oh, I'd really like the number 1. That's the best thing there. And they roll a 5. The VC player rolls a 6. Add 1 is 7. The VC player 7 to 5 is a gap of 2. They deviated by 2 or nothing. 1, 2 could be another high value. I'm not keen on that. But 1, 2 are an ambush. So that means the ambush has been found and the ambush then takes place. It's not highly significant, but still an ambush and it's amusing. That's how the loop works. And as things are found, they're taken off the loop, so there's less and less things to find. That's searching. Now we're going to do some shooting. Shooting's fairly straightforward because the idea that all the rules here are nice and straightforward so people can get on with the game. Now, here's an American or White Star squad here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. We don't do any differentiation between whether it's the machine gun, the M79 or whatever else. It's just a squad with firepower. That's all that matters. Now let's say this squad has got 5 dice left. There we go, it's got 5 dice. Shooting is medium action, needs a 4, 5, 6. So I roll the dice, I need a 4, 5, 6. There we go, I get my shot. I keep those 4 dice. Now shooting is quite a short range in this because we want the game to have lots of movement. It's only got a range of 3. 1, 2, 3. You're allowed 1 diagonal. So it could be a little bit further away, but that's how it works. All you do is this, you count the number of bases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you roll 5 dice. Alright, the squad's going to open fire. There are 5 bases, 5 dice. I'll switch to some different coloured dice so I don't get them all mixed up. So the 5 dice, all I need is 5 or 6s. There's no modifiers on the hit rolls, the modifiers on the saving rolls. So there we go, I need 5 or 6s. Whoops, there we go. Now, 2 hits. Now saves are always 4, 5, 6. But 1 more if your men are gone down. 1 more if you're in jungle or villages, but 1 worse if you're really in close on the 4 faces, and also 1 worse if you're raw. So there's the 2 hits scored with the White Star. We do 2 saves on the VC. Now the VC would save in 4, 5, 6 because they're raw need a 5 or 6. Oh dear, 1 saves, 1 doesn't. We take a base off, it's dead. If someone shoots you, you can shoot back. Now the VC unit's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. Now here's where the differences start coming in. If unit's raw, like let's say Arvins or VC, NVA aren't raw, but let's say these are raw because they're VC. 5 bases, we take 2 off, so it's only got 3. Shoots back with 3 dice. When you shoot it's 5 or 6s, when you respond it's 6s. They shoot. Oh, got 1 hit. Now these White Star here is basic 4, 5, 6. There are no modifiers, they're stood up, they're not in cover, don't know what they're doing. They try and save, they do. Now, with the remaining dice, let's say the White Star wants to shoot again. He needs a 4, 5, 6 to shoot. Yes, there's a shoot action. You only shoot twice in a turn. Now, this time there are 5 bases, 5 goes at 5 or 6. Oh, 1, 2 hits. The VC saving a basic 4, 5, 6, but they're raw, they'll need a 5 or 6. So 2 hits, I'll do 2 saves. They save neither of them. Now things are looking a bit grim. I should put little bodies down there, but it all counts towards a US or the White Star body count. Now, because they lose 2 bases when they shoot, they only shoot back with the effect of 1 base. It's always a 1 base minimum, so they're getting shot to bits, but that's their own fault standing in the open. They shoot back on a 6, they miss. Now this unit here has had its 2 shots, so it wants to do some other things. Now going down is only 3, 4, 5 or 6, you know, getting all sort of tactical, but they haven't done it. They might want to do some other bits and pieces. That's how shooting works. Now of course if the VC popped up with a small unit, they'd be very, very silly to do that because there's not of much effect. But the VC came up with a full unit. Now units of VC they can recruit, but they can't rise above 6 bases. Now let's say the VC, here's their 6 dice. They say, we want to shoot. They need a 4, 5, 6. Yes, there's the shoot action. I count the bases. There are 6, but because they're raw, they lose 2, so only got 4. 4 goes at 5 or 6. 2 hits on the White Star on the road. Do 2 saves. Oh, neither save. Now, White Star deads, a bit more of a tragedy. They're worth a lot of points to the VC, because that's what they want to achieve. And also, unless you call in a Kazivac, you're a little bit slowed down by those dead people. Now, if if you're in cover and down, then you're going to be really difficult to kill. So quite often at the end of a turn, if you've got only a few dice left and you're a white star unit, it might say, let's just go down. We'll pause for a moment before we carry on. In a typical game, you only get about, I would say, about 7 turns a player. About 7 turns. So you've got quite a lot to try and do in 7 turns. You'll never get everything done. That's deliberate. You've got to think about it. Let us run through a quick sequence and I'll show you it not so much at full speed as how it should work. Here is a white star squad. They're down because they've elected to just take a bit of cover on the road. It's a bit too open. Now, I'll start with 7 dice. I'm going to get up first. I can't do anything while I'm down. 3 or more, easy action. I've got 3 or more. I take the dice off, take the marker off, then I'll stood up. I now decide I want to move into the village. I need a 4, 5, 6. Yes, there's a 4, 5, 6. There's 5 dice left. I move my men into the village. Better see how many peasants are there. Roll a dice. 5. I'd like a few less. I don't want to be recruited. 4. That'll do. I take the marker off and I make sure there are 4 peasant marks in total. I've got 5 dice left. I don't think I'll interrogate. I'll go for search. I need a 5 or 6. Yes, there's success. I've got 4 dice left. I get out the cash loot, which the VC player prepared, and I want to find I'll go for a high value there. Let's do deviation. VC player rolls and gets +1. That's a 7. The white star gets just 3. 3 and 7, gap of 4. The VC player goes 1, 2, 3, 4, ambush. Right, the ambush is placed here. Now, an ambush attacks the white star with 3 dice looking for 6s. Yes, there's a 6. There's a killed base because on the ambush, they automatically go down. Bad news, once you've been ambushed, you can't continue the turn. They're done. Now we're going to run it again. Take 2. This white star unit has got 7 dice. They want to get in here, search and see what's going on. Our first one move onto the road. 3, 4, 5 or 6. Yes, success. They weren't down this time. They've gone on there. There are 6 dice left. There are no diagonal movements. I'll move down the road 3, 4, 5 or 6. Yes. There we go. Moving down there. Now, next, oh sorry, that base should be back there. Next one, enter the village. That's a 4, 5, 6. Yes, no problem at all. Now, I've just moved 3 squares. If I ever move 3 squares, because I'm moving quite rapidly, there might be a booby trap. The VC player tries for 5 or 6. No 5 or 6, no booby trap. As I get to the village, or as these whites still get to the village, how many peasants are present? 2, that's all right. I'll take the marker off. And there are a total of 2 peasants. There are 4 dice left. Loads of dice. I'm going to do a search on a 5 or 6. There we go. Only 1 success. There are 3 dice left. And I pick up the counter and I place it on the loop. I'm going to go for a bit of low value because it's got to be fairly risk-free. There we go, low value. Right, the VC player rolls a 5, adds 1 on, 6. And the white star player rolls 2, gap of 4. So the VC player can leave it alone or go 1, 2, 3, 4 and give him nothing. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, give him a high value. If the difference is 4, you must do exactly 4 or nothing. I think the VC player will go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, give you nothing at all. So although the village has been cleared, nothing's been found. Now, the white star still got 3 dice left. I'm going to move into the next village on a 4, 5, 6. Yes, notice I must declare before I actually do things. I'm there. See how many peasants are present? 5, it's a few too many. Or 1, that'll be enough. So I'll take that off. Now, with 2 dice left, I think I'd be unwise to search. It might fail. Because I might get shot at, I'm going to go down. Need 3, 4, 5 or 6. Yes. They go down. And because I've not failed, I can go to my next unit. If I failed, so if I rolled 2 dice and didn't get a 5 or 6, so that's double 6. Yeah, if I failed like that, everyone else's turn is ruined. They're down to 1 dice each. And also, you have to then place a failed marker on one of your units for next turn. So next turn, one of your units only gets 1 dice. Because you only got about 7 turns anyway, a fail could be a real pain in the neck. But that gives a nice balance between people who are bold and say, let's crack on and get it done. And those who, I don't want to risk a failure, therefore I don't think I'll do any movement, whatever. Just a little bit of work on how tanks carry out their actions. Now tanks, it's the same mechanisms as for infantry. Tanks start off with 7 dice. There we go. Now tanks are slightly different. I'm stating the obvious there, but in this game they're slightly different. If they've got an own infantry squad in proximity, they're fine. If an infantry close by, they lose 2 of their dice because they're more cautious. And vehicles treated the same, whether they're gun trucks, armoured vehicles, tanks, whatever. Now with these 5, it's a 3, 4, 5 or 6 on the road. That's nice and easy. But all the terrain is one worse. So to enter a village, instead of 4, 5, 6, they need a 5 or 6. To enter bamboo, instead of a 5 or 6, they need a 6. They shouldn't really be in there. Now when tanks shoot, so 4, 5, 6 to shoot. Yes, I can shoot. Tanks shoot with 3 dice per shot. So these 2 tanks would together roll 6 dice when they shoot. 5 or 6s, that's 2 hits. They're only susceptible to VC retaliation when they're in proximity. If the VC are very close, they can use RPGs. But the tanks have a range of 4 squares, which is very generous. 1, 2, 3, 4. The road is the best place for vehicles to be. They can scoot up and down. One more little rule I'll mention. It's not crucial, but I'll mention it so people understand how vehicles work. When vehicles are finished using their dice, they're allowed to claim up to 4 more squares if they're on a road. So let's say the tanks had moved across and ended up here, fine. They can say, right, I'm not going to use my dice anymore, my action dice, but I'm going to claim some extra squares. 1, 2, 3, and that costs nothing at all. Tanks, like infantry, though, can hit a booby trap after 3 squares of movement. But tank says anything but a 1 anyway. An ACAV says anything but a 1 or 2. Gun truck anything but 1, 2, 3. Just be careful how you drive down roads. But moving the tank up and down would be quite good. The road could be removed by the VC as one of their pre-game gambles which they pay for. They take this off. Therefore moving the open will be more difficult for the tanks. Paddy field's difficult and bamboo will be a nightmare. I'll mention one more thing about bamboo while I think of it. The densest of jungle, or we've called it bamboo, the very dense jungle, there's no effective shooting in or out. So any shooting that takes place isn't effective. So you can actually skulk and hide in there. But it's a nightmare to get into. Whereas it's 3, 4, 5, 6 moving to an open square, 4, 5, 6 for paddy field or jungle, a 5 or 6 going to bamboo. It's quite a good place for VC to hang around because they can suddenly leap out at you. Now, one of the last things I mentioned is what we saw, we'll call it precaution, or morale might be a more wargamer term. And it works like this. In Vietnam, the men can't rout or run away. There's no choice on that. But they still take, what should we say, a caution test or activation or a morale test. And it works like this.